it's early o'clock. Come out for a campfire. Sunrise should be in about half hour, 45 minutes, I guess, something like that. One advantage of this time of year with the snow, it makes it much brighter in the forest, much more reflected light, which is a good thing. Right, I'm going to get a fire going, and I've got a whole bunch of wood in the car. I've got some more here. Right, let me get a fire going in here and warm things up a touch. Right. Split up a little bit of kindling here, as always. Lots of little preparations, everything. I put a base in the bottom of here, cut the boards, put some old receipts in here, and a cotton ball with Vaseline, because that is the best way to do it. Fire still, I can get one decent spark to land on there, like so, and away we go. The advantage of using the cotton balls is it now gives me time to find another piece of wood. Just split up a few bits, just so I have some slightly smaller bits, bigger bits there ready to go on. I don't know what this wood is, but it's very splintery. You have to watch your hands for splinters on this stuff. Not sure what it is. Some kind of hardwood. I can tell you, the way that splits, I can tell you now, it burns very well, but got to watch your hands. It's bad for splinters. But I don't know what kind of, I'm not really sure what kind of wood this is. It's very hard, but it's very hard wood. Makes great firewood, and it was all going for garbage, so might as well collect it up and use it. A lot of people worry about, you know, they build a fire and they'll make a little log cabin fire or TP fires or whatever. When you're getting the fire going, basically just keep piling it up. Bit of small first, and then you can get onto this size stuff fairly quickly, because this stuff is so dry. Yeah. Very important not to smother a fire too when you first get it going. Don't put too much on. Let the fire do its work. And away it goes. Yeah. I will do my coat up a bit until once the fire gets going, I tend to leave my coat open. It's actually warmed up. It's only about -4 today. We've been in minus mid-20s for the last week or so. That's never good. It's good for the ground because it really firms it up. It makes walking so much easier. But yeah, we're getting some heat in there now. See, the tendency is to just keep piling on more and more wood. Let's bring that over here. The tendency is just to keep piling on more and more wood. See how that's getting going in there now. If you just keep piling it on, you'll be surprised. It actually stifles the fire. So now I'm getting to the point where I can actually put on a few of these bigger bits. Just let those warm through. So there's a couple of boards in the bottom there. The idea of that is just to give it a base, because if you were lighting a fire, say for instance on this snow and what have you, you want to dig down as far as you can. But in this time of the year, I mean, once it gets into -20, this stuff sets like concrete. Best of luck making a hole through that. So what you do is, if you were lighting a fire on that, you'd pile up a good layer of logs on the bottom, and you want them fairly round too. With this amount of snow, you'd want some decent sized logs. Like if you had some 3 or 4 inch logs, build up a good pile. And one of the best kind of fires to make in this weather, when you've got that kind of stuff, is actually the top down fire, because you build up a big pile of logs in the bottom, get some heat in there, and you've got to displace that moisture. Got to get rid of it. A decent sized fire will certainly do that, but you don't want to start from the bottom upwards, because the water will soon put your fire out. That is a good way to start the day, eh? What I'll also do is put a couple of these boards on here just to sit on, and try not to chuck all my stuff on the floor as I'm doing it. I don't know if you can hear them, there's a lot of crows around here at the moment. Yeah. Crows and squirrels, they're all up. Right. My plan for today is to have a nice relaxing campfire. Going to cook up some food later. Going to do some real food later. Yeah. Didn't bring any sausage rolls or hot dogs with me today, so I'm going to do something different. Yeah. Right, I'm going to get this fire going and get some heat. So I'm already being attacked by the jays. I've got a woodpecker sitting in a tree just up here, just in front of me. A lot of crows around as well. Makes you wonder how they do that without hurting their head, eh? Right. This is what I like about coming out here. Get out the beanies a bit. Not warm enough for feet yet. Oh, there's that woodpecker. Yeah, he's just flown into that other tree over there. They're looking for bugs. People think they're chiseling out holes for nesting sites and stuff. They're not. They do that, and it's. Oh, I've got a squirrel behind me. I've got 2 jays over there. Oh, 3 jays now. I've got a woodpecker surrounded by crows, and I've got angry squirrels behind me. Looks like everything else in the forest is up early. Yeah. Oh yes. Starting to get a little bit of flame in there now. It's ground set like concrete already. That is snow. Yeah. That is snow. That's what I was saying the other week. This time of the year, it's so much nicer because you can actually. So I'm walking on top of the snow now. I'm not walking through the snow, which is exactly what you want. You know, you don't want. You don't want to be wading through snow. I'd rather walk on snow. Yeah, much nicer. Right. Let me concentrate on what I'm doing, and I'll do some more in a bit. That weird noise there, believe it or not, it's actually crows. Yeah, crows do that. Yeah, that crow also makes that other noise. And they are my best candidate for what I would call my mystery noise, because they do make that funny kind of noise, and it can sound like pieces of wood being bashed together. So that's what I think it was a few years ago when I was camping out in the forest there, and I woke up with this really weird noise at like crazy o'clock in the morning. That's what I think it actually was. The jays are sitting on the bench over that side. They're watching. Yeah. They'll be over here. You watch. People think there isn't much goes on in a forest in the winter. I can assure you it does. Yeah. It's starting to lighten up through the trees over there. Oh, we got two. Two woodpeckers. Huh, cool. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, there's two of them. And here comes the jays. I'm going to walk away from the table just a little bit here and see if I can encourage the jays. If I hold my hand out, these things will actually come and sit on your hand. But I don't want to do that because they actually think you're going to feed them then. And that's not the plan. See? Here they come, look. These are the food stealers. Yeah. So the squirrels will sit on the logs and break up all the cones, and these guys will come along and clear up anything that's left. Look at this now. Looking for my sandwiches. Got some bad news for you, Mr. J. Yeah. It's scavengers. But if you literally hold your hand out, they will come and sit on your hand. Look at this. Look. Yeah. You leave anything on that table, I guarantee you they will come and have it away. Yeah, I can see you guys. Yeah. Yeah, see if I can do it. I don't like to do this, but I'm just going to see if they will actually see if they will. He's looking in my hand. There's one sitting in the tree behind me. He knows there's nothing in my hand. They're not daft, eh? Yeah. Yeah. Right, let me get a decent fire going here. Stop all this yapping and get a decent fire going. Well, that's a bit more like a fire. Yeah. And time to get the tea out. It's the only thing when you make the tea, as it cools down, that lid cranks on there pretty tight. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's better. Tea, gotta have tea. Yeah. If that's not toasty warm, I don't know what is. So now there's now a foot warming fire with a cup of tea. Can't hold that. Oh dear. What I'm going to do is let those flames die down a bit. I've got some good coals in the bottom, and I'll get some food going. Actually, I should undo my coat now. As I was saying in one of my other videos, it's very tempting in the cold weather to leave your coat done up, but if you do that, it doesn't let the heat in. Oh, that is hot now. Yeah, got some good heat coming. Yeah, not a good cooking fire yet. I need more embers in the bottom. Yeah, certainly a good cup of tea fire. Yeah, can't alter that. So you can hear that hissing, all the moisture coming out of the ground. This time of the year, this ground will be frozen solid now, around till about March, April, something like that. Yeah. Just becomes concrete, which is great for hiking because you just put your spikes on and away you go. Yeah. But when it's still what I call slushy snow season, that's not good. Yeah. The snow you walk on, the other snow you walk through. This is much better snow. This is what I call squeaky snow. walk on this snow, it squeaks, and that's when you know it's about minus 15, minus 20. Squeaky snow is minus 20. Yeah. Right, very good. Huge difference this side of the fire to that side of the fire because of the cutout. Like sitting here, there is so much extra heat. If you look, I'm only only a metre or so away from the fire, and when it's cold, let's see if I can move that down there. When it's cold, that is exactly where you need to be. If this was minus 30 out here and you're camping and you have a fire and you're sleeping outside, that's how close you need to be to the fire, literally. If you can't reach out and touch it, you are too far away. So you want to be, people will say you want to be about one pace away from the fire. That's about right. Because any further than that, if you're 2 paces away from the fire, you're going to freeze to death, literally. So that'd be an unpleasant process. So you literally need to be this close to the fire, and that is warm. If this was minus 20 now, I would probably be closer. Yeah, I'd probably be almost touching, my feet would be touching the fire. Yeah. As I can tell you now, minus 20 is not a temperature that you can mess around with. If you're not aware of what you're doing or not comfortable with what you're doing, minus 20 will kill you real fast. Yeah. Hypothermia is one thing. That's a pretty dangerous thing. It kills more people than you might think. But freezing to death, that's something that can creep up on you real fast. Very painful. Creep up on you real fast. Now, having some knowledge for being outside is a good thing. Having no knowledge is not good at all. Everybody that comes out in the backcountry or out in the forest and that should have some information in that with them, some skills. You need a skill set, but you don't need to be a lifelong bushcrafter to be able to survive out in the middle of nowhere. It helps, but you don't need to be. 90% of survival is in your mind, and the rest of it is skills. As you can see, that's starting to settle down there a bit now. Once I get down into some good coals, then that becomes a good cooking fire. Oh, that's good. That is good tea. Well done to the guy that made the tea. As always, you need a good pokey stick. Yeah, getting a good base going in there now. I did forget to bring my fireproof glove with me, so it's going to be a bit of a difficult thing. Because people are often saying that I don't cook any real food. I just do hot dogs and sausage rolls. There's a reason why I do that, because it's easy. It's makes for a very easy meal, and a very good meal. However, today I'm going to be doing beef, carrots, potatoes, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to be cooking quite the meal, and I'm going to do it all in a nice stew. And to make things even easier, it comes in a nice tin. Marked soup. This is actually something that tin soup is actually brilliant, but don't ever leave your cans out in the middle of nowhere, because that really drives me nuts. However, the good thing with tins is you can also use the paper for lighting a fire. Very effective. Helps with firelighting. So I will see how good this little can opener is. I do have 2 can openers with me today, but I think this one will work just fine. Now, I can tell you from experience that cooking food on a can, on a fire, if you don't open the can, it can be quite an experience. Yeah. I thought I would try that once. Now, don't ever leave these things laying around. I see people leaving this stuff laying around. They chuck it in the fire It's never going to burn. Take it home with you. Put it in the recycling. It's never going to burn. So, I need right about there. See, people say I don't do any proper outdoor cooking. I'm doing beef and carrots and potatoes, all kinds of good stuff being cooked in there. Yeah? And I don't have my fireproof gloves with me, so I only have these little gloves. So I'm going to have to be careful with that. So, making nice food outside doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need all kinds of frying pans and all that kind of stuff. People like to do all that kind of stuff because it makes good videos. However, if you want to make an easy meal, all you need is a can of soup. Oh, look at that. Carrots and all kinds in there. Now, cooking it on this kind of fire, you've got to be really careful not to burn it. So, I will just mess with this little fire a little bit. I'll do some more video in a minute. Yes, this is warming through nicely. See, look at that. Beef and carrots and corn and all kinds of good stuff cooking in there. This is a good cooking fire. You don't want too much flames, but there's a lot of heat coming off that, I can tell you. I might just chuck another couple of bits on there, just to get it going. I've got a whole bunch of these big squares at the moment, so I will warm a few of those through. And then I can see little bubbles starting to come in my soup already, so I better stir that so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Right, got it. Just lost a piece of potato there. Yikes. What you want to do is just rotate it around in the can for a bit. Years and years ago, when I was a kid, I used to love doing this. Out in the middle of nowhere, get a little fire going, cook up some beans. They used to have those wonderful little, it was like baked beans with little sausages in. I don't know what they call them now. But I used to do that a lot. Oh yeah, starting to see a bit of steam coming through there. The advantage of having it in a tin is you can bring a container with you, you can bring a bowl with you if you want, and tip it out in there. But the advantage of having it in the tin, you don't need to have an extra container, so that's one extra thing that you don't have to wash up. Let's put a couple of those on there. Oh yeah. So this is how you cook beef, carrots, sweet corn in there. It looks like celery maybe or something in there. I'm not sure. Whatever it is, makes really good food. Keep you going, but don't ever leave your cans. One thing I hate, I come out to places like this, I find food cans or aluminium foil. People who use the aluminium foil to cook like sweet corn and stuff, and then they chuck it in the fire. It doesn't burn, which is why you cook your food in it. It doesn't burn. Only thing that goes in there is stuff that burns. Yeah. One day somebody will invent a camera that you can smell things on, you have smelly vision I guess, and it actually smells really nice. It smells good, yeah. I don't want too much flame on there though. Yeah. Or the coals. Yeah. A bit too much flame at the back there. That way a bit. That's why you need a pokey stick. Yeah. Oh yes. smoke's getting me a bit there. That's why it's a bit of a toss-up between having flames, because if you've got flames you don't have no smoke, and if you've just got embers then you tend to get more smoke. So it's a bit of a balance. Oh yeah. He's heating through nice. Yep, needs a bit more yet. Now the thing that's good with these tins of soup, people say, yeah, they do tend to have a little bit of salt in them. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're doing a lot of walking around and using up a lot of energy, you'd be surprised how you need that salt. Salt is something, we can't live without salt. That's why salt used to be one of the most valuable things in the world. People used to walk hundreds of miles across the deserts with camel trains just to collect salt because it was so valuable. It was more valuable than gold at one point. So, you can have too much salt. You really don't want too much salt. But those cans of soup, they do tend to have a little bit of salt in them. But it's one of those things that I spend a lot of time walking around and stuff. So you do need a bit. Like everything in life, you need a balance. You don't need too much of anything. If you have too much of something, then it's bad for you. Whether that be sugar, salt, money, time, whatever. It's one of those things. You don't want too much of anything. You want a nice balance. That's what life's about. If you can find a nice balance with things, it actually works good. See, but it's starting to be a little bit smoky now because the flames are dying down a bit. Smoke is just unburnt wood. That's all it is. Unburnt material. Incomplete combustion. Yeah. The heat coming out of this gap on the front. This is how all fire pits should be done. This is how people should do it. Because if you've got that gap on the front, there's a huge amount of heat coming this way. And that's exactly what you want. Yeah. And there's a lot of heat radiating off that metal. But, yeah. Snow just instantly turns to steam. So, yeah, there's some good heat coming off of there. See, the jays are circling. They're like vultures. They know that that's food, but they also know that they can't get it on there because it's too hot. Oh, you've got a dilemma now, haven't you, Mr. J? Oh, off he goes. He knows he can't get any of that. This is a good way to spend the day, though. Right, I'll do some more video in a minute. Right, let's ready to start eating some of that. The good thing with doing it like this is you can eat it as you heat it. Yeah. So, stir around. Gotta test it. Well, that is good actually. That is some good soup. The advantage is you can just leave it on there when it's cooking. It's staying warm. You have to be careful though, because as you eat it, it gets less and less in there. So it tends to. Just going to move that off the flame there a bit. tends to heat up a lot quicker as the amount goes down in there. That's good. Gotta watch the flames though. And that is the best way to do campfire soup. See, a lot of people will cook in pans and plates and all kinds of other good stuff. But if you're carrying the minimum amount of stuff with you, cans are heavy. Canned food is heavy. However, it also kills two birds with one stone. And if you're on a survival situation, that can now can be used for all kinds of other things. You can just wash that can out. You can use it for boiling water. You can, if you had a whole bunch of material and you needed to make a little stove, you can turn that into a stove. You can use it for collecting water. You can use it for boiling water. You can cook food in it. All kinds of stuff. Just because it's an empty can doesn't mean it no longer has any use. Woo. That's hot. What I might do, going safety first with anything you do outside. Only takes me a couple of moments just to put a glove on. To grab that can and you burn yourself. Not a good plan. She is toasty hot now though, I can tell you. Oh yeah. That is hot. In actual fact, I might have to take that off of there in a minute. Because hot soup is good. Boiling soup, not so good. What I will do, again, glove. Stand that there, let that cool a bit. That is actually beginning to boil. So, right, now I cook that. Let's get a real fire going. There we go. Right, people worry about stacking wood up in this shape, that shape, build this, build that. There are times and a place for different kinds of fire lay, but that old saying of fire likes chaos is good. Don't lay all your logs and material all in one direction unless you're making a long log fire for overnight or whatever. In my, I'm going to try and do another video out in the middle of nowhere. We've got some reasonable weather coming up. I'm going to head out in the middle of nowhere and do a backwards fire and show you a technique that I use, which uses the same principle as this. It's got the gap in the front here. It's got that gap right there, and it focuses the heat in one direction. It's more of a one-directional heat fire, if you like. Very similar to what the Siberian long log fire or the Siberian fire will do. It radiates off a backlog. This is a slight variation on that, but it generates the heat, throws the heat forward as opposed to backwards and all round. It's a directional heat, which is a very good fire. So next time I'm out in the middle of nowhere, I will do that and show you how that works. Meanwhile, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my soup. Right, that's my soup done and dusted. Everything's packed away. I always carry like big Ziploc bags in it with me, so all my cans and trash and all that, everything goes out with me. Nothing gets left behind. But that's how it should be. So I've stacked up the wood because all this wood that I've got with me today is all pretty much the same size. It's all offcuts. It's all pretty much the same size. I've stacked it up in like a log cabin style fire lay. Works very well, lets the heat come up all the way through, lets lots of air into the fire. Log cabin is a very good way of building a fire. It's a good way of starting a fire too. If you do a log cabin and just... as I was saying there, the battery died. The building a log cabin style fire, like that, it's a great way of having a fire. If you're starting from scratch, it's a really good fire to build because it lets lots of air in, and because this is all uniform material, it's all about the same size, it's all just offcuts. It's a good way to do it. My soup is all done and dusted, so I'm going to sit there, feet up, cup of tea as always, feet in front of the fire. You got to have it, you got to do it. It's one of life's great simple pleasures. For some reason there's a huge amount of crows around here today. Not really quite sure why, but there is. There was a whole bunch of them around here just now. The jays seem to have disappeared. The sun is coming up over that way. Nice sunshine on the mountains. Looks like I'm going to get a nice sunny day. Tomorrow's going to be a bit cloudier, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with tomorrow yet. But, keep this going and burn that through. Get some nice coals in there. Now I'm just going to sit and enjoy the fire, drink my tea and listen to the birds. Woodpecker seems to have moved on, so maybe they didn't find enough grub in those trees. Very, very good guys to watch. Absolutely amazing to watch. Right, I will continue. Feet. Enjoy my tea. I did buy a can of hot chocolate the other way. I do have my big blue kettle in the car. I always have that in the car. I got one of those enamel 3 litre kettles in the car. Absolutely vital to make sure you've got some way of boiling water with you. And that stays in there all year. But in the winter, you get stuck out somewhere, you need water. It's very easy to get a fire going, but you need something to melt water in. That 3 litre pot. If you look at this snow, I mean the snow's only, I don't know, 6 inches deep I guess over there. But you'd have to collect an awful lot of that snow. People, you see these videos where people just get a pot and fill it with snow, and then the next thing you know they're making a cup of tea and boiling this and all the rest of it. If you do that with this snow that we've got here in the -20s, if you fill a 3 litre kettle, you'd be lucky if you had a half a litre or less of water. Once you actually melted all that, it melts down to next to nothing. There's not much water content in it. It's not wet snow, this is dry snow, so you would need an awful lot of it. And if you're ever going to do that, pre-warm the pot first. Just put a little bit of heat in the pot, put a bit of snow in the bottom, let it melt so it's now liquid, and then start adding snow to it. But don't just fill it with snow and chuck it on the fire, because I can tell you now, I don't know what it does to the water, but it makes it taste like garbage. It's horrible. Yeah. Yeah, so always melt a little bit of water first and then use that water to actually melt the rest of the snow. But you need an awful lot of this snow. It looks like you just chuck a pot in and away you go, but you can't. You need an awful lot of this snow to actually melt it down into water. Not a lot of water content in this. It's very, very dry snow. Squeaky snow. It's dry snow. The native people here, I believe, have 30 different words for snow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but this is very dry snow. Very low water content. Very low. That's what sitting in front of the campfire is all about. That is a toasty warm fire, watching the sun come up through the trees, way off to my right actually. In the summer the sun comes up literally straight ahead from where the camera's looking now, pretty much. In this time of the year it comes up way more over to the right. Way more. But this is why I come out and do this stuff. Love the sound of the crow's wings as they flow by. Got jays in here, woodpeckers, magpies, crows, abundance of crows, lots of squirrels. As I was saying earlier, people think there's not much happening in the forest in the winter. Another squirrel behind me now. But there is. But that's the important thing. Let's come and sit by the fire. That is kicking off some nice heat now. Make sure the camera's not getting too hot. That's good. Chucking off some nice heat. I have to say, the this is the GoPro 10, and I bought some of those Enduro batteries because they're supposed to be better in the cold weather and what have you. I have a whole bunch of the blue ones, the normal ones, and now I have some of those Enduro ones. The Enduro ones do seem to last a little bit longer. It sounds daft, they are the same capacity battery, but it's exactly the same. There's no difference. The chemistry in there is allegedly supposed to be different, but I do find in the colder weather they last a little bit longer. How much longer? I don't know. I've never done a time trial on the two because I only have one camera. But they do seem to last a little longer. But either way, I try to keep them warm, but it is the cold that'll do it. So setting the camera by the fire like that for a little while, yeah, that warms it right up. And over through the trees that way, as you can see, the sun is just coming up through the trees over there. Nice. Yeah. I will take that. And this is why I do this stuff. Yes, I know, Mr. Squirrel. Yeah. Squirrel's letting everybody know. Hey, that's his patch. Stay the hell out. Yeah. I've got nothing for you, Mr. Joe. Yeah. Sneaking up behind me again. Too bad, I only bought soup today, mate. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like to feed the wildlife. You shouldn't really do that. They get accustomed to having human food then, and that's never a good thing. They've got to figure out how to find their own food. But you look at it, and they're picking up all the pine seeds and what have you on the ground here. People don't realise the importance of all the forest floor. So the squirrels will have all the pine cones out of the trees, and they collect them all year. That's their winter food supply. But a hell of a lot of seeds in that get missed, and that's what these guys are doing. Yeah, I see you. These things are totally tame. If you put your hand out, they'll come and sit on your hand. But if they do that, they're expecting food. Yeah, and I don't like to do that. Yeah. And off he goes. It's amazing how they find enough food to eat in a forest over the winter. But there is plenty of food. If you look at the top of these trees, look way up there, right in the top of those trees, there's a whole schwack of pine cones up there. There's literally thousands of them up there. And that's what sustains most of the forest for the winter. Yeah. There's obviously something around the fire that they like. Now the fire is actually melting the snow around it. Any of the seeds that were stuck in the snow and ice and what have you, it frees them up. So as soon as I'm gone later on today, these birds, or the ground around the fire pit, they'll be rummaging through that, because anything that was frozen into the ground now isn't. Yeah. They're pretty cool. They make a really amazing little sound. Totally fearless. Yeah, see? Whatever's now melting out of the snow and ice, that's what they want. And away they go. Very cool. Now if that doesn't make it worthwhile, I don't know what does. Look at that. Sun coming through the trees. Doesn't get a huge much higher than that this time of the year. Maybe twice that height, and that's about it. That makes for a very nice day. Campfire, sun in the trees, birds in the forest, feet in front of the fire. That's actually toasty. I had to move back a little bit because I threw a whole bunch of wood on there, and it started to get a bit hot, too hot actually. That is what makes it all worthwhile. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. Love that. Very nice indeed. Very nice. Great way to spend the day. More people should do this. It's good for you.